Welcome to Unmuzzled Chat. Now, I've been wearing myself out over here. Networking is no joke. The amount of energy, effort, time that goes into all of this behind the scenes just on getting guests alone. I mean, that could be a full-time job in and of itself. And then on the research side of things, to actually cover topics kind of feed into the awakening, so we really expose the corruption for multiple reasons, to personal benefit on health and so many other things, but also that we help steer into a better future. But then also the marketing, just the little clips, sharing on different social medias, trying to get creative, that in and of itself becomes a full-time job as well. And it's just exhausting. It's like my mind is going a million miles an hour and in so many different directions. Now, I do appreciate a pretty lengthy call with a very busy woman. Shout out to Tanya. I appreciate her taking the time out of her day to just discuss basically how we can better serve our listeners, because she also has an awesome podcast advocating heavily on behalf of Lyme disease, mainly bringing in the success stories of folk that have beat Lyme. But it is such an important podcast because it really is exposing just how damning this bioweapon disease has been and is right now. We're going to be doing an episode here in the near future, and I'm sure we're going to be doing multiple moving forward. But right here, just to give her a bit of a plug off of a whim, you can go to Spotify and look up Lyme and Beyond with Tanya. SB Studios. Lyme and Beyond with Tanya. She's had amazing guests. I'm actually quite envious that she was able to land Chris Newby, the author of the book Bitten. And I believe she was also behind the documentary Under Our Skin. She's done amazing things on behalf of Lyme, and Chris Newby's Lyme journey and dealing with Lyme's pretty epic, even in herself. So to catch that story, it's definitely helping spread awareness. Golly, there's so many things to accomplish on this podcast, and there's not enough time. I mean, just to reflect. Okay, maybe I should have titled things differently, but I am looking forward to reaching out to corporate with regards to Tractor Supply and getting more of the details as to their retractions on all their wokeness, bringing back their core principles, I suppose. But I had that boycott episode, and then recently have the information warfare, all glory to God, and breaking news. Well, the breaking news in that episode is in regards to Tractor Supply's basically 180 on their woke shenanigans in supporting evil's agendas. I just really want us to absorb that win. Just to acknowledge for a second as to how powerful we in fact could be, unstoppable in this country as a nation, united. We just have to see past evils and the globalists and these rulers, division tactics, and so many other things. We got to up our health and our resilience. We have been diminished. Our lights have been dimmed, and it is time to get our light back. And we got to address things from every angle possible: mental, physical, spiritual. And every one of those has a whole laundry list of things we could do to protect and feed into the healthy side of things and take out more of the toxic side of things. Okay, with that being said, I've luckily connected with a lot of people in the know, and they've just flooded me recently with a lot of information. And it really does hone in on the individuals responsible for so much, and the secret groups, and how they're using certain things as shields. And there's parts to it all that are important to understand how to directly address the issues and become more effective. It's just tough. There's really a balance to everything. And in this moment, I'm even realizing I've kind of hit my limit for the day. So let's just try to have an open mind, try to figure out the freaking issues so we can address them. We can unify. Hopefully some of this triggers within individuals, because this isn't even the tip of the iceberg, but it should pose some grave questions and hopefully light that fire for us to finally, enough is enough. Because this gentleman right here out the gate, 8 billion people are being controlled by 100 families. In reality, it's probably less than 100 families, but at least more people are realizing it, and it is pretty much a global awakening. But he's not naming names, and it would be nice to go into who and the infrastructure so we can start as the people chipping away at their infrastructure, ramping up the pressure on the individuals that we are aware of. And I'm just ready to cut the head off the snake, to be honest. Because when you really pile in the information and you do the deep dives, it's so sickening, these people. It is sickening. And I'm even debating whether or not, with some of the information I've compiled, whether we're really going to come out, like we can come out with a very specific, heavy-hitting episode exposing all of that. It is the darkest things you can even fathom. It could be scarring even going there, traumatizing. The strongest among us wouldn't come out unscathed. So it's tough to say. Is it necessary? In ways I feel, yeah, because not enough of us are seeing what we're up against and freaking engaging. I just had communication the other day with a gentleman I do have a lot of respect for. He's worked really hard and got himself to a place in this life, frankly, so many of us would only dream of, financially speaking. And trying to get men like that on board with what we're trying to accomplish here, essentially, we're all at war. It's a war we didn't ask for. It's 5th generation warfare. And it's important that we get all men engaged of all means, but obviously those with blessed means, and not to discredit obviously his hard work and everything, but at this moment in time, very blessed means, and could have with that far larger impacts, really ramping things up. It becomes painful and tough because these individuals, and I've had chats with other ones as well, they've geared their minds in just success and business and return on investments and things of that nature. But with what we've exposed, we lose more of this war. I mean, with all the different levels of attack, it's just painful to me to have these conversations knowing what I know, because it's like so many men are just rolling the dice, leaving it in other people's hands as far as this war is concerned and the outcome, and not seeing really the threat of the needles going into arms and the vaccine schedules and what's going into the air, what's going into the food, the invasion of the country, what that the threats that poses, the just sheer tyranny, what they're trying to create with the carbon tax and mark of the beast and social credit scores, all this destructive ideology. It's psychological warfare. So it's mental, spiritual, physical. I suppose I'm just banging my head against the wall as to how can I effectively articulate things and go about really effectively navigating these type of conversations for any individual to simply acknowledge that we are at war and that we all must get more engaged in one way or another. For some, it may be putting funds towards it. For some that don't have the funds, need to put in more legwork if they actually, in fact, care about increasing the odds and not leaving it up to a roll of the dice, if that makes sense. So I suppose I got to look inwardly. There's a lot of perfecting and work to do in my mind, in my speech, in my, golly, the art of communication. It's a forever work. No one in this life will ever fully master that, ever. But isn't that one of like the most valuable, I don't know, skills to acquire in a way? It definitely is. It's up there. Okay. Here I am just ranting. But let's go ahead and play this gentleman's clip.
8 billion people are being controlled by 100 families. What families? The elites. And if you think I'm crazy, maybe stop watching the news and start doing your own fucking research and actually thinking for yourself, because the media is also owned by these families and they're controlling the narrative, which means they're controlling your perception. How come we, as 8 billion people, haven't stopped falling for these divide and conquer tactics and started to realize who the real enemy actually is? While we're fighting each other, they're just laughing at us. Left wing, right wing, Republican, Democrat, liberal. None of that shit matters. There's no such thing as a Democrat or Republican. The only thing that does exist is a group of elites that are controlling everything that you do. And unless you wake up and realize what's actually happening, things are only going to get worse. Wake up, Neo.
Wake up, Neo. Just like the Matrix. And he hit the nail head on. That if not enough of us wake up, if not enough of us take action, if not enough of us get engaged, once again, through whatever means we're able, and that's kind of where I was banging my head against the wall. And now reflecting back on that conversation, I could see how we got in the weeds on so many things, and I wish I would have navigated things better and even asked questions, seeking to understand versus just running my mouth. Just something as simple as, like, can you confidently say we are at war? And it's not just me and you, like there's war being waged on our women and our children. Can you confidently say that? Or do you feel, no, we're pretty well off? Because it's clear the pandemic, they literally just tried murdering us all. It's clear what they've done with the infiltration through all the organizations in health care. It's been about business, not health. And it's been diminishing and keeping us. You know what? I don't need to go through it all right now. This man also touched on other important things, such as just think for yourself. We got to be able to acknowledge controlled propaganda. And that's why sourcing information in an information age is crucial. I can't move past these scenarios because I'm sitting here in my head. I want to, how? Help me. How do we become more effective in getting people engaged? It is absolutely crucial that we become more effective. We can't impede on people's free agency, nor shall we want to, because it's one of those things like I just know definitively if people really put in the time and saw the big picture, they would understand no one in this wartime is afforded the luxury of I'm only going to focus on what I'm good at, like my business and making money and getting mine, because the reality of the outcomes at no amounts of money, things potentially just continue the way they are going to even afford your families the protections to live out healthy, normal, happy, free, even lives. So it's interesting. I feel like, so for that individual I was talking about, what he's doing with all these businesses and for his family and employees and engaging in a lot of good, and really doesn't have like the time so much to dive in, but how do we get through to where They get it because they would make the most important investment and the biggest return on investment they've ever made in their lives. And it is not in regards to numbers in a bank account. In a huge way, it's obviously in God's hands. But we all could agree at the end of the day, with all the war tactics, there's all this needless suffering. And through unity, we could rule a lot of that out. Now, I'm just freaking really ranting here. I apologize. Let's just get through. I might be cutting a lot of this out. So that gentleman really didn't name names. Well, Stu Peters isn't afraid to name names. And right here at the beginning, he kind of just hits it out of the park. So let's go ahead and play this.
As the old saying goes, to find out who rules over you, just simply find out who it is that you're not allowed to criticize.
That right there. Is that not true? That is 100% true. Always has been, always will be. The same individuals that are pushing back on speaking out on these truths and whatnot, they're the same ones that tyrannically pushed the jabs. They're the same ones that are doing all these other horrific things. So what are we to be afraid of?
And at no place and at no time in our history has this statement been more accurate than it is right here today. Much of the world, but especially here in the United States of America, we're ruled over by this small group of people who have, over the span of centuries and even millennia, just accumulated absurd amounts of blood money. They've developed a supremacist ideology, alongside an ability to paint themselves as the perpetual victim, no matter what it is that they do, no matter what it is that they have done. But this group, you're not allowed to talk about them. You aren't even allowed to say their name in polite society or on big tech platforms, or even in an academic setting where ideas and facts and beliefs are supposed to be opened up to scrutiny, supposed to be talked about, supposed to be debated. But on this topic, there's no room for discussion. And the moment that you try, you're shut down. But you see, we've proven that this platform is different. Yeah, we have led the world in bringing this issue to the forefront and questioning those behind the levers of power, behind all of the money, behind the American war machine that has led to the deaths of countless Americans and others all across the face of the planet. And now I'm going to take this to the next level. For those of you who haven't caught on yet, for those of you who are still wondering, who is he talking about? I'm talking about these people that claim to be Jews. I'm talking about the Zionist Israeli Jews who make up just 2% of America's population, but have managed to completely control the Federal Reserve, which they founded in 1913.
That's a good point.
It was a Jewish coup. They have infested our judicial system with left-wing Jewish judges whose mission is to completely pervert the foundations of America. They have seized dozens of seats in Congress with dual citizens writing legislation for Americans and deciding where our money and our lives get to go. And they have a supermajority in the Biden cabinet. Right now, at this very moment, a Jew called Alejandro Mayorkas is presiding over the largest unmitigated land invasion in world history. The invasion of our own southern border. And before that, he led the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. These are the people behind the invasion of America and so much more. And it's not just the government. The Jews run big tech. They run perverted corporations like Disney and Nickelodeon, where kids get groomed and raped. And of course, they run the banks because it's part of their religion.
Banks, the largest pornographic sites in this country, in gay porn and things of that nature. It's disgusting. It's all connected.
Thousands of years they've been practicing usury against us while they loan money to each other interest-free. They've been able to build their own economy, not a parallel economy, no, a predatory economy that sits above our own. And because of all of this, now more than ever, people are starting to wake up to this issue. They're looking around. They're seeing how this country has been completely taken over. It's been occupied by Jews, by Zionists, and by all of the Shabbos goys that they have doing their bidding. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. All of this information, this is barely just scratching the surface of conversation online.
That's right.
This is an issue thousands of years in the making.
Yeah.
These people killed Jesus Christ. And to this day, they're subjugating and ripping off and killing his followers. They wage kinetic warfare. But more importantly, they wage spiritual warfare. They promote homosexuality and transgenderism and abortion. And of course, they demand that your children go and die for Israel, like so many thousands of Americans already have. You can't even get elected without the Jew lobby's blessing. AIPAC owns Congress. And before you're sworn in, you have to make that obligatory trip to Israel, put on that tiny hat, kiss that wall, and pretend to cry. It's a humiliation ritual being carried out on every single one of us. And we're going to expose it. We're going to expose all of it. Which is exactly why we are...
It's a lot of information to go through, but it goes back decades, and you can hear from rabbis themselves, like saying it all out loud. All the information's out there. Just got to be willing to connect the dots. I mean, even right here, July 1st, 2024. So just on Monday, North Carolina just bent the knee to the Zionist overlords and passed a couple of bills. Defining anti-Semitism is important to stopping it. And this new law helps to do that, as anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise. While we protect the rights of free speech, they're not. This is infringing upon our First Amendment right. 100%. They could try to dance around it all they want. But in fact, what these bills do are extremely threatening and damning. Just to Stu's opening point, our own officials and government and whatnot, they're just, once again, they're trying to control a narrative. They're trying to pass laws so they could lock us up for even questioning things. That is unacceptable. And that, to me, is the biggest red flag of it all. It's like you almost don't even need to do all the research. That in and of itself, anyone with any rational, like critical thinking skills would be like, that's not good. Why? No. Well, let's just continue on. This gentleman blows it out of the water. He's not fearful. I apologize. I'm really feeling out of it. And I have a good idea as to why. I set off to be out in nature and away from signals. And in this situation, which I'm grateful for to be at, where I have power, I'm literally feet away from this big Wi-Fi modem, antenna, router, whatever you would call it. And it's putting out mega signals, and I can feel it, and I can't sleep. So we'll see how the night goes. Because I know, frick, Wi-Fi is terrible. We're microwaving ourselves with it. It's not good.
And our leaders are low-life scum that screw little girls. So the Jews can screw America. That's what's happening in this country. I just said it. That's what's going on in this country.
It's so sick.
And our FBI is corrupt. The Supreme Court is corrupt. The Justice Department is corrupt. The news media is corrupt. The whole country is corrupt. Because we've walked away from Almighty God, and we've allowed Kabbalah practicing Jews to defile the nation. Put that video out.
Yes.
Go ahead and clip this video and send it out. I dare you. You won't do it because you're scared that the truth may get out to the American people.
Wow.
I've had it up to here with the corruption in this country.
Me too.
Little children being raped for the
Yes.
benefit of Israel.
Yeah.
That's all it's about, Doc. Little American children being raped for the benefit of Israel. American politicians raping little American girls to be videotaped by Israeli Mossad
Right.
so that Israel can blackmail American politicians.
It's so true. When you connect Epstein and so many other things, everyone in position is corrupted. It's crazy.
That's the state of America today. God ought to destroy this country for what we've become.
In a way, I believe he would have if there weren't. It's in my eyes, just enough are seeking God, just enough are pushing back, just enough are fighting back. But with what we're allowing, that's where I'm just like, gosh, dang it. If only we could break through to more of these people with means, and just more men blow up messages like this. No, I'm not scared. Are you scared to share this? Are you scared to do your own research in what that might mean? If not, then let's build the momentum. Let's rule out this corruption. And yes, children's lives are at stake. These people are demonic. And it's not just all the Jews. It's literally ones more so just masquerading and using these as protections. It's sick. So this gentleman actually created a fact-based video describing the history of the oppression and racism of Palestine by Israel, and was taken down on his Instagram after getting 12 million views. Why would someone want to censor this video? Let's go ahead and play it.
Countries in the world. While you'll never hear anyone in the mainstream media say this is actually one of the most important things you need to understand if you want to know what's happening right now. From its inception, the whole idea of Israel as a country was based on racism. Israel was conceived as a Jewish state, and while there's nothing wrong in principle with Jews having a homeland, the problem is that they insisted that that homeland had to be in Palestine, which already belonged to someone, the Palestinians. The slogan of Israel's founders was a land for a people without a land. But deep down, they all knew that the only way to have a Jewish majority in Palestine, an Arab country, was to expel the Arabs. One of the founders of Israel, Yosef Weitz, wrote, "There's no room in the country for both peoples. There's no way but to transfer the Arabs from here to neighboring countries." Israel was quite literally founded by expelling and massacring hundreds of thousands of Arabs in a years-long process called the Nakba. And when you found a country based on racial exclusion, you're gonna get a culture that fosters and celebrates racial exclusion. Because countries that commit terrible atrocities rarely acknowledge committing those atrocities. And the presence of Palestinians who remained in Palestine became a constant reminder, not only of the violence that founded Israel, but of the constantly looming threat that they might come back and try to reclaim their land. Every day you can find videos coming out of Israel showing Israelis calling for all Arabs to die, insulting the Prophet Muhammad.
What the heck? I don't want any of God's children to die. Once again, I feel we take out the head of the snake and the evil cabal of this world. Sure, certain ones will come to rise, but we could do better at acknowledging and snipping that in the butt before they gain any real momentum and any real power. And we could fizzle out all of this. It's sick.
Desecrating mosques, spitting on Christians, mocking and celebrating the murder of Palestinians, committing violent hate crimes against Palestinians, watching Gaza get carpet bombed from a cliffside for entertainment. But don't just go off these anecdotes. Let's look at some of the polls. One poll found that 2/3 of Israeli teens believe Arabs to be less intelligent, uncultured, and violent. It also found that 50% of Israelis wouldn't live in the same building as Arabs, wouldn't befriend Arabs, wouldn't let their children befriend Arabs, and wouldn't let Arabs into their homes. Another poll found that 60% of Israeli Jews want segregation from Arabs. Another poll found that half of Israeli Jews agree with the statement, most Jews are better than most non-Jews because they were born Jews. The poll also found that 88% of Israeli Jews would be disturbed if their son befriended an Arab girl, and 90% would be disturbed if their daughter befriended an Arab boy. This poll found that about half of Israeli high schoolers don't think Arabs should have the right to vote. Another poll showed that almost half of Israeli Jews don't want Arabs teaching their kids. Not only are these views widely held in Israeli society, they're also represented in government, which codifies these sentiments into law. For example, Israel has a law that says if an Israeli marries a Palestinian or someone from several other regional Arab states, that person isn't allowed to move in with said Israeli. This law was passed in 2003, but it's been renewed every single year since. Israel also doesn't allow interreligious marriage to be performed in the country, which is meant to deter Jews from marrying non-Jews. In 2018, Israel passed the nation-state law, a law which has constitutional status, which says the right to exercise national self-determination, i.e. have rights, is the exclusive right of Jews, no one else. There's also the Nakba law, which makes it illegal to acknowledge the Nakba, the expulsions of Palestinians that were needed to found Israel. This would be like passing a law to make it illegal to talk about indigenous genocide or slavery in America. There's also the Admissions Committee law, which basically allows towns to operate panels that deny applications for entry based on socio-cultural compatibility, which essentially just legalizes racist housing discrimination. In Israel, advocating genocide of Palestinians doesn't hurt your chances of holding a high position in government. And in fact, in many cases, it helps. In 2014, Israeli lawmaker Ayelet Shaked wrote an unhinged rant on Facebook, calling all Palestinians enemy combatants and saying their mothers should be killed for giving birth to, quote, little snakes. Wow. The next year, she was appointed Minister of Justice by Benjamin Netanyahu. Itamar Ben-Gvir, a lifelong admirer of Meir Kahane, an Arab exterminationist, a man who praised a Jewish settler who killed a Palestinian for throwing a rock at him, a man who was famously acquitted after being criminally charged for chanting death to Arabs, is Israel's current Minister of National Security. He's not some fringe figure either. He's one of the most popular politicians in Israel right now. In the last few days, Israel's been working hard to cast itself as the victim of hatred, the victim of terrorism, the victim of anti-Semitism.
Not just Israel, those corrupted here. Obviously, North Carolina, so much of Congress, the Senate, trying to victimize an anti-Semitism. I mean, it's all, I want to call it even a hoax.
That they have no choice but to lay siege to Gaza. But underneath this carefully concocted victim complex is a racist, Jewish supremacist state that's been trying to finish the job that the Nakba started for decades. And really, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. After all, they're literally cutting off water and electricity to a city of 2 million people right now. Their generals talk openly about flattening Gaza and killing the animals, meaning Palestinians. It's obvious their goal is genocide.
So do so many Americans. Blindly. I don't get it. The Jewish Talmud teaches that all non-Jews are animals. You could hear it from this little girl.
Excuse me, I'm a Jew, and I just like to say that, in our Bible it says that you're like animals. Excuse me, I'm a Jew, and I just like to say that, in our Bible it says that you're like animals.
And they're having her come in front of the stage, in front of a congregation, and state that. Why? So much of this has been in front of our eyes for sometimes folk, like, forever. They have blatantly done, and I'm not just speaking Jews, I'm just saying the cabal, the rulers, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, these private societies. It's just a club we're not in. And they got all these indicators and signs. It's been blatantly in front of our faces for so long. politicians taking a stand, turning around. A gentleman throws out a sign, basically like, you know what to do, and we're watching, or we'll expose. You can see these signs, just signs right in front of us. World leaders. And this is how they keep politicians in line. Just as a friendly reminder not to go off script, you'll be destroyed. Who's behind pushing this toxic ideology in this country? Feeding into pride. This is not an organic movement, and it's getting disgusting. Do I even need to play this lady? This lady recently, she went to a pride event up in San Francisco. Disclaimer, she exposes some really disgusting things. No children should hear this, and it boils my blood because this was an all ages event. You know what? We got to play it as much as I don't want to.
Okay, I feel physically ill after spending the day at San Francisco Pride. Now, I've been to quite a few Pride events, but this one was by far the most disturbing, and it was because there were nudists there that were fully erect in front of children, standing in a way to make sure that everybody saw their fully exposed penises. There were adults grabbing other people's genitals, and other adults masturbating. There was a fetish zone in which people were peeing on each other. So again, too, I'm shocked and horrified after experiencing this. Keep in mind that this is an all ages event. There were children present. The fetish zone was an 18 plus area, but there were no IDs being checked. And again, there were adults essentially having sex in public. I am shocked. I've never experienced such a vulgar display of promiscuity. I mean, I don't even know what to say in terms of this. I'm shocked and horrified, and I don't think I'm ever going to cover Pride ever again after what I witnessed today. It was the worst of the worst. It was bad.
Satanic demonism. And we just touched on where it's actually being instigated, where it's coming from. But I don't even know if I have it in me to get through this.
Potentially hundreds of military employees and contractors who may have bought child pornography online but haven't been prosecuted or even in some cases investigated. That's right, you heard me, child pornography.
Thousands. So many people were implicated in the Pentagon itself. It's time to clean house, every nook and cranny. I'm going to go ahead and just include all these clips in the episode. I'm most anxious to get to our final clip, which is light and it's beautiful because I'm sick of this evil. I'm sick of all this disgustingness. So this is breaking news. A judge just released over 150 pages from a 2006 grand jury investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile trafficking ring. States, my team and I are going through it now. Get ready for some major bombs to drop. And I just was verifying it all and looks legit. So with more exposure, more transparency, maybe then more men will get involved and get enraged that this is unacceptable. This is insanity. The rituals of these secret societies, like Bohemian Grove, it's a thing. Like Alex Jones, I think that's what's really ramped up his career because he snuck into it and he literally dumped recordings of their rituals, and these elites, the world elites, meet there every year. It's insane. Can't make it up.
This is America's most evil retreat, Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove.
A restricted 2,700-acre campground where the elite go to discuss world events and participate in ancient pagan rituals. The evidence is there. The Grove exists. It is true that presidents, politicians, and bankers all willingly congregate here every July to do shady stuff in the woods. These men at the top of the food chain look forward to this getaway every single year. It's time to expose everything about Bohemian Grove, the playground of the American elite. The counter.
This is really long.
Across America gather to relax. The retreat is divided into dozens of small camps, the most prominent of which is called Mandalay. Among its members are businessmen like Leonard Firestone and Henry Kaiser, and political figures like Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz. President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and Defense Secretary Weinberger are members of other camps. Richard Nixon is a Bohemian, and so are high-ranking executives of such companies as Eastern Airlines, Standard Oil of Indiana, and Bank of America. For the most part, the men of Bohemian Grove are over 50, highly successful.
If you thought that was creepy, they even have their own database system called Moloch, recently updated to Archime, and their logo is literally a great horned owl. Just before he was assassinated, former President John F. Kennedy gave a speech about his thoughts towards secrecy. He voiced very clearly his opposition to secret societies, oaths, and proceedings, calling out Freemasons in the Order of Owls, the Bavarian Illuminati, and those who practice secrecy at Bohemian Grove. No wonder he was killed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
One last question. I read a Washington Times article many years ago where you had a comment about the organization, and then now it's been in the Wall Street Journal, it's been in a lot of different newspapers, and that's the Bohemian Grove. And back in, 1996, when you joined as a Clinton advisor, the Republicans were criticizing you. Oh, what about...
It's wild to me how we've sat idly by and allowed it to get to this point. It truly blows my mind. To the other gentleman's point, it's like, it is kind of mind baffling how God hasn't destroyed not just this country, but this world. I mean, I guess he promised that he never would again biblically, but it's just crazy. This talks about the money changers. Isn't that what Jesus got? Righteous anger and went in there with the whip and flipping the tables over.
Ben Franklin claimed that this was the real cause of the American Revolution. Most of the Founding Fathers realized the potential dangers of banking and feared bankers' accumulation of wealth and power. Jefferson put it this way.
I sincerely believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies.
Wow. Banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. We've had all the information this whole time. We've been so blind. The question becomes, like, even with the floods and how transparent, how evil has overextended its hand, I guess that's where it just became disheartening. I mean, I just have work to do. There is a chance with that conversation I had that it didn't matter. I could have touched on the most powerful points and said things in the most powerful way. And at the end of the day, individuals still choose, not going to get involved, going to do my thing. But I will continue to rack my head to get as effective as I can. And I'm needing your help. We need to have these conversations and really hone in. Because, I mean, it's just clear.
The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs.
That succinct statement of Jefferson is, in fact, the solution to all our economic problems today.
Here's how it works. They print it, we borrow it, and we pay them interest.
This is garbage. This is garbage. Your people in South Africa, you have your rand, right? That's going to zero. That's going to zero. This is going to zero too. Euros are going to zero. The yen's going to zero. The Chinese currency is going to zero. It's all going to zero against Bitcoin. If you don't understand that yet, you're going to be impoverished. You're going to be on the street. You're going to be begging. You're going to be out of business. You're going to be toast.
James Madison, the main author of the Constitution, agreed. Interestingly, he called those behind the central bank scheme money changers. Madison strongly criticized their actions.
History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance.
The battle over who gets to issue our money has been the pivotal issue throughout the history of the United States.
Wow.
Wars are fought over it, depressions are caused to acquire it. Yet after World War I, this battle was rarely mentioned in newspapers or history books. Why? By World War I, the money changers, with their dominant wealth, had seized control of most of the nation's press.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media.
It's what's kept us dumb, distracted, out of the know. We've drank up these narratives. We got to wake up now and address this. I'm sorry. I'm too serious right now. And I guess in my current state, I'd rather just be admit more excitement and the opportunities we have more than the weight. You know, I'm human and I can just feel the fatigue. So it's important. You know, I ought to just call the homeowner and see about moving that freaking Wi-Fi. Like, why even subject myself to that, knowing what I know? So that's enough of all that. Let's just dive into some light. Before diving into this, I'm just going to drop everything and do a little plug to our affiliations. If you could check them out down below. Be sure to check the description on the episode. Support our affiliations. We got a lot of calls to action that in fact will help shift this tide, such as Patriot Mobile. Use promo code Unmuzzled. They'll take care of you. EMP Shield. Prepare yourself. Get $50 off. And then to boost your body, Detoxify, Bond Charge, the Masterpiece Tincture. I mean, you get all these discounts, amazing products. It's all part of the solution. And it's how we're all going to gain the health and the preparedness to make it through this hard time together. Most importantly, we do need to unite. And truly, it's kind of becoming apparent at this time for me to continue doing what I'm doing and providing information and continuing this podcast. I really need some funds to keep the lights on. So any amount given is greatly appreciated. Be sure to check those links below. We have a Buy Me a Coffee, a direct Venmo, Cash App, even a GoFundMe. I appreciate your consideration. We're just doing all we can do to add value and right this sinking ship. I'm going to be doing a lot of this tonight. This is a stand up now shirt, prayer. I need it. We truly don't deserve our God, but he loves us so much. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. This little boy calls a radio station to share something that God told him. Let's hear what this little boy has to say. It is beautiful.
Hey, Mike, can I talk to you?
You bet, Logan. What's up?
I want to tell you something that God just told me.
Okay.
Last night, my dad was roping this calf. And this calf had been born from a really old cow. She didn't have really the greatest milk. She didn't have, like, the vitamin C and stuff.
Okay.
Hold on. Mom?
So cute, I guess his mom's talking.
I'm talking right now. I'll be up in a second. But sorry about that. But anyway, she broke her back. And this morning I went out and put her down myself.
Wow.
I was talking to God. I was asking God why she was special. And God said, you know, Logan, my son was special, but he died for a purpose. It's kind of the same thing. That calf was close to me, and God's son was close to him.
Logan, you're so right. It's true. Think you're gonna be okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. But I wanted to tell you guys that is so important. Just remember, when you lose a loved one or a pet, always remember that God gave his son too, and he understands. He will always understand. He will always just run to him.
Logan, you're wiser than you know, buddy.
Well, sometimes I don't think I'm wise. Trust me, I've done a lot of stupid stuff. But I've learned from it.
Yeah, but see, buddy, that's what makes you wise. Somebody that learns from their mistakes.
Oh, I just figured I'd better call and share with you guys. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What a beautiful call. A kid can't be taught that. God spoke to that little boy. There's really no denying that. And that boy has the courage and the wisdom. Seems like he may have known the individual running that radio station. But boy, am I grateful he did. I surely needed to hear that today. Amongst everything that's going on, maybe I'm making a mistake. It's crucial that we focus on this relation above all. Above all. I guess that's it. It's my lesson even for the day. Right here live in this moment. Maybe I'll leave everything in this episode because it just shows how I've been beating my head against the wall. Trying to shoulder too much that isn't my burden necessarily to carry. And it's more important to focus on why we're here and really gain that relationship and that faith. But I do know God has instilled a specialness upon my heart, and I'm sure all your hearts, regarding the children and with what we see happening in regards to children, especially, all over the world, but even in this very country. We can do better. We must do better. And together, united, we will do better. I appreciate your support and your help in this and getting that message out. It's so important. Man, what a beautiful kid. I'm going to play that back a few more times. It just would melt me down. Okay. Hard times. How suiting is this? But it says increase my strength. Explanation point. If you falter in times of trouble, how small is your strength? Proverbs 24:10. Why, O Lord, do you allow these hard times in my life? Is it to reveal my small strength? If so, then yes, Lord, I confess that I am weak. But help me to have overcoming faith, my God. Increase my ability to persevere under this pressure. Turn my circumstances around even though the turn may begin slowly. Let it at least begin. Rescue me from these raging waters. O Lord, bring me to higher ground. Increase my faith, Lord, soon. Amen. That's beautiful. Think on these things. Wisdom for life from Proverbs, July 2nd. This is honor from God. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. If you want God to honor you in Christ, humble yourself and serve others. When I am asked what someone should do to be trusted with an international ministry, I say to serve others. Humility does that. It washes feet. It also washes dishes. Whenever I was a guest speaker at a Bible school or camp, I would always make my way to the kitchen after dinner and help with the dishes. Sometimes crowds of Christians would come and stare as though it was unusual to see a guest speaker doing such lowly tasks. But I thought it should be the norm. So do the lowly task and watch God honor his word and you. Soul search. When was the last time I performed a lowly task? What is one task I could perform regularly? And then this little prayer at the end. Father, help me to see the lowliest task as being highly honorable. Amen. That's so beautiful. It's a call to action right there. That's what's important. I sure hope I haven't been stepping in it and deflating you fine folks. Am I exposing too much? Am I going about it? I mean, we could always go about it in a better way, right? Could you help me achieve that? I know we can together. And I know in doing so, we could help a great and many people, not just in this country, but all over the world. It's really cool to see on the podcast app side of things, because Rumble doesn't have like the geographics yet, like details. We are nearing 100,000 views, which is pretty rad on Rumble. But on the podcast apps, just to see the world light up. We're almost in all the states now in this country, but it's wild to see all these other countries and territories starting to light up. I want to apologize if I've made it any harder on any of you. It's important we all find the healthy balance. That's why I truly believe the most important tool we have in this life is the Bible and seeking the relationship with our Creator and the why and our purpose through that relationship, the gifts we were given to fulfill the role we are to partake in this life. And when we land that, I know there'll be great blessing, there'll be great peace, there'll be great clarity. And that's what I hope and pray for all of you. Thank you so much for your support. I'm well over time. God bless you. God bless America. I'll do better next time. Till then, take care.